What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the Motorhead YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be back to work on the CLS63AMG, and we want to get the suspension dialed in before we go any further. And finally, our suspension came in. We have our airbag right here, and then we have the shock down there. And a buddy of mine actually had an AMG, and he gave me some valuable advice because you can install this wrong and it will pop. So we're going to make sure we do everything properly, and so we can pretty much get it on and probably even drive the car. Who knows? So we're about to see. I want to lift this car up and take the wheel off and go ahead and get all this on. Okay, so I got sick, guys, and I wasn't here yesterday, so that last clip of me putting on the suspension is all we got done, unfortunately. I'm sorry for that, guys, but I'm feeling a lot better now. And I did get all the suspension put onto the car, but the car is still not airing up. I'm not sure why. I did some research on it, and a lot of people have this issue, so I'm gonna have to dig into it deeper. And for now, I wanna go ahead and get started on the framework. Eztunez is actually going to come and help me do it, and he's actually on the way. So for now, I need to go ahead and take all of the interior bits off, and he's going to help me cut that glass out. The quarter panel indoor did come in, so I'll show you guys that in a bit. For now, let's go ahead and get started on this interior. So in order to cut this window out, I'm going to need to release that and drop these off right here because I don't want to damage them with the knife. So let's go ahead and get all this stripped out, and then it'll be ready to cut out. Alright guys, so we got it all out, as you can see. Now we have a straight shot down to the window, and we won't have to worry about breaking anything. We also had to unplug these were underneath that piece. And also this piece right here was in the way. We really don't want to damage this. I imagine this is very expensive. It's a little shade that comes up and covers the window. So that's good. I'm glad that that's all done and it went very smoothly. Now when Ben gets here, we can cut out this glass, and that's pretty much the last thing we need to do before we put it on the frame rack. So this is the machine we're going to use. This thing is a beast. It's called the equalizer, and as you can see, it got a nice little blade on here to cut it out. I had to put the battery on charge because it is dead, because as you can see, we obviously only deal with Milwaukee, so the D-walls are always dead, and it does use a D-wall battery. So we're gonna let this charge up, and it should be charged by the time Ben gets here, and we'll start cutting this glass out. So the AMG is in the way right here, and the boys at 23rd Garage need this space. So we're gonna go ahead and move the car onto the frame rack, and we'll just cut the glass out on the frame rack. So let's get this thing pulled out and onto the rack. Okay guys, so we got the car onto the rack, and we need to cut the window out. Eztunez actually pulled up, and he's gonna start chopping it. Guys. So, you ready?
Yeah, let's go and get this glass out.
And then we'll get it on blocks, and he'll start working his magic on this quarter. Okay, so we're gonna put sticks here because I don't want this quarter panel to get damaged with that arm. So we're gonna put this in, tape it up, and it'll be ready to cut out. All right, guys, so Eztunez got the glass cut out. Luckily, we got the right man for the job because I did not want to bust that glass. So now we're ready to start getting it up on blocks and dig into this framework. Okay, so we got the car on the blocks. Went ahead and put some welding blanket back here to protect all this, and then another blanket just so no debris gets on the interior. And now we're just gonna go ahead and get started on this quarter panel. So I'm gonna wait for V-Tune and see what he thinks. So what do you think, V-Tune?
I mean, honestly, it doesn't look as bad as it looked whenever we first got it on the frame, but we're gonna do a little bit of a pull right here. Just pull this inner skin out a little bit, and then we can go ahead and start removing this old quarter panel.
All right, let's get to it. Okay, so Ben got that metal piece off, and we got pretty much everything stripped off. We got a ret rag in here because if you watch V-Tune's last video, you know, you've seen what he did to his Mustang. We don't need that on the AMG. And also, I know we weren't gonna remove all this, but Ben said that it would be best to do it, so we removed all these electronics, and now we won't have any risk of fire. And luckily, all this sound deadening just comes right out, so we can put it right back when it's done. So let's go ahead and start knocking this quarter panel off. You know how many girls you slay. What do you think, Pops?
I do too.
You can do it too?
Yeah, professional. I'm professional.
Well, yeah, that's who taught Ben.
Who teach him? Me.
All right, so Ben, what were you telling me?
Well, at first we were thinking about replacing the quarter panel right here and leaving the taillight pocket. But honestly, I think the best route is going to be just to replace this lower box right here and replace the taillight pocket all the way back here. Because honestly, if you do replace it right here, the fact that we're using a used quarter panel, it's going to jack up this entire taillight pocket, and then in the future it would have a lot of taillight issues, and you might have to like do a little bit of filler work right here, and we honestly don't want that.
Especially if we weld it right here, it's going to warp all this metal.
And the fact that it's a used one and it's not a new one, so it has everything in one piece. So the best thing would be just to do it all in one piece.
All right, so let's get this one off and get that one on.
Sir.
Okay, so V-Tune got all these surfaces prepped, and he ground down all the area that needs to be ground down, and now pretty much all you got to do is drill it out. And we're gonna go look at the other quarter panel and see what we need to do, and we'll go from there. Okay, so here's the quarter panel, and I want to go ahead and remove everything and make sure there's no damage on it. Do that. Look, we got a whole bunch of free ratchet straps with this thing, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is mine.
Pops loves that.
That's mine.
You know, you always need ratchet straps. So this quarter panel actually came from a store called Eztunez. They have a bunch of automotive parts, and they got an eBay store. I'm gonna link it down below. They actually hooked us up, gave us a really good deal on this. So if you need some parts, go ahead and check out their eBay store and see what they got, and maybe they got something that you need. So let's go ahead and get this thing taken apart, and then we're going to check and make sure it's not damaged.
That's good.
Man. All right, so there is some damage on it, unfortunately. I was not aware of that, but I don't know. Albert is the one who made the deal with the quarter panel. That's no big deal. It's just a little bit of body fill and we'll get it fixed. So now V-Tune's over there belt sanding the quarter panel off. This one we will need to drill out and carefully remove, that way you don't damage it. So let's go over there and see the progress.
So guys, we got the entire quarter panel cut off the car and it turned out pretty good. There's a little bit of damage right here, which isn't too bad. Simply just gonna have to push that out. It's really just the inner skin. And while I work on the new quarter panel, Mark's actually gonna come over here and clean off all this glue right here so we can get it prepped for the new quarter panel. And there's a lot of seam sealer that we need to get off. And we don't want any seam sealer, so whenever we go to weld it, everything has good adhesion and everything like that. And then later, Mark can just put new seam sealer over everything.
All right, so Ben is knocking this thing out quick. He got it all drilled out and it's ready to start prying apart. And he's gonna have to be a lot careful on this one because you gotta get it off perfectly. That way it's not damaged and it'll go onto there smoothly. So he's about to chisel this thing off and then we'll start fitting it to the car and see how it looks.
So guys, we got the entire quarter panel. We went ahead and pulled it out and dollied everything out really nice, sanded it down. Now what we're gonna do is actually throw weld through primer on every bit that's gonna get welded. And what that's gonna do is it's basically gonna coat everything back there. And then once you can weld right through it, and then we'll also put some cavity wax back there, just so nothing rusts and the quarter panel is back to OEM specs. After we're done throwing the primer, we're gonna go ahead and fit the quarter panel on and see how it lines up. So the first test fit of the quarter panel, everything lines up good. We got the door on, the gap is looking perfect all the way around. And now all we need to do is basically cut through both pieces of metal, and we'll have a nice joint right here, and then we can weld it down there. And we'll do the same thing down here, cut through both pieces of metal, and we'll just have a nice joint, and we'll weld everything up, and the quarter panel job will be officially done. So we got everything nice and cleaned up, and we also made all the cuts. Now it's time to go ahead and do the final test fit, line up the rear bumper, the tail lights, make sure everything lines up, and then we'll weld the quarter panel in and it'll be done. So there it is, guys. We got the quarter panel on the Mercedes CLS63AMG, and let me tell you guys, everything lined up pretty good. The cool thing about this car was it wasn't really smacked really hard, so we didn't have to do much pulling back here. We didn't have that much issues, and I'm so glad we did go ahead and replace the entire taillight pocket instead of just doing what I was thinking about doing like that. But it turned out a lot better, much easier. It took a little bit more work, but you know what? A lot better. Everything fits up, and now it's just time to go ahead and start welding everything up.
Okay guys, just like that, it's looking great. Everyone was asking why replace it. You could just save the quarter panel, but when you got a brother like V-Tune,
yes, sir,
it doesn't matter, man. He knocked this thing out in a day.
Oh, it turned out perfect.
Oh yeah, dude, you killed it. And then tomorrow I can just ground everything down.
I mean, this quarter needs a little bit of work, but I tapped it out from the back, so it's going to literally need like one skim coat, a little bit of glaze, and that's it. It's not going to be the whole quarter panel Bondo.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because I won't have to pull it out or anything. But dude, I'm loving how it looks. And I don't have to Bondo anywhere here. You know, it's just a smooth, flat area right there. So appreciate that. But yeah, Ben just made my life a whole lot easier on this build. I do appreciate it. He will be dropping a video too, a lot more in-depth and thorough. So be sure to check it out, guys.
Yes,
you got anything else to say?
I am tired.
Yeah, Ben's a trooper because he's actually feeling under the weather and came out here and knocked this out. So big shout out to him. And
I mean, just use that belt sander, sand it all down, and one light skim coat of glaze, and then a little bit of filler.
Oh yeah, 6 a.m. I'm gonna be here just like this morning, and I'm gonna get it off. Hopefully get it in primer tomorrow. That'll be in the next episode. I want to get it into primer, trim out the inside, paint the inside of the door and get it all back together. That way I can just get it ready for the paint booth.
Yes, sir. You better bring it by the new shop once you're done.
Oh, for sure. We're gonna have to bring it down there and let you rip it. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this content. If you do, be sure to smash that subscribe button and stick around for more content like this. In the next episode, we'll get this thing all trimmed out and ready for paint. I can't wait till we get this thing in paint, man. This build has just been super fun and it's moving along great. I'm very happy with the progress. Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram at motorhead.co. For instance, we did drop a lot of the process of this beforehand, and if you want the inside scoop, you can head on over there, give us a follow. We appreciate all the love and support, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.